One-time Dodgers top relief free agent prospect Liam Hendriks goes to the White Sox on a deal that gives him a lot of money. $54 million. Is it the 4-year deal? I think it's 4.
It's gotta be 4 with 54.
So the Aussie goes to
54 is a lot,
Chicago.
dude.
That is a lot. That's some bucks, dude. For somebody that's...
Oh my gosh, it's a 3-year club option. The deal's worth 54 guaranteed. Oh boy.
Cha-ching! That is some ball right there. That's some bank. Does that now? Is this going to be the thing? Does this open up like the hot stove? Does this open the free agent floodgate? Because this is boring. This offseason sucks.
I think that Rob Manfred's leaked 162 game plan today likely opened it up a little bit more. Obviously, there's still a lot pending on that. The rumors on that are still pending, but I don't know. This might be the start of things. I think we get to see the ball rolling this week. You had a couple predictions for this week as well. I don't want to jump ahead and spoil them for you, but you had a couple free agency predictions.
Well, my biggest one, I've just felt it in my bones. I've said it a few times internally. I think JT happens this week, or we get somewhere. One of JT or DJ LeMahieu signed this week. Not necessarily saying with the Dodgers. I think JT does come back to the Dodgers, and I mean, a lot of people get back into Tommy here. You probably saw Turner's interview with Sports LA and our friend John Hartung. You know the guy.
John Hartung.
Yeah. We've had him on the show. Anyway, JT just you can see him like he was kind of trying to hold it back, but even if Kershaw said we hear the same stories from Tommy, and you always want to keep hearing them. You wonder and you feel, especially somebody like JT who grew up in LA. He knows he grew up on Tom Lasorda. That's got to mean a lot to him. That's got to tug on the heartstrings a little bit more to want to come back to the club that, I mean, honestly, he doesn't want to leave. A lot of the fan base doesn't want him to leave. So I was saying that last week, even before the unfortunate Lasorda news. Things were just meshing that way. They were pointing in that direction. Justin Turner re-signing with the Dodgers made a lot of sense. Him and Courtney were about to finally finish up their like month-long off-season RV road trip, which I could not be in an RV for a month, but maybe that's just me. So that's my prediction. You're going to see Justin Turner this week. I was hoping it would happen before this show, but
it's a really, really, really good prediction. I stand behind you with it. I still think JT comes back to the Dodgers, but I've been known to be wrong about things. But in other news, I guess the biggest report, I mean, the biggest Dodger-related report, there's not much this week. There's not a lot going on. There's not movement. You guys know this. This is not news to you guys. But the fact that DJ LeMahieu is unhappy with the way the Yankees are treating contract negotiations, it kind of does open the door for the Dodgers in a signing. But with that in mind, he did tell his agent, like, hey, circle back to the Dodgers, among other teams. There's a couple different teams involved in the process, but he wants to circle back and talk to all the teams that I guess checked in on him in the first place, which tells me that he was probably leaning towards the Yankees and giving them the first chance to give him a good contract. Sounds like they haven't been able to do that. But, I mean, you look at what the Yankees are offering. They're going 4 years. They're in the $80 million range. Do the Dodgers have a fifth year? Do the Dodgers have the $110 million JD Martinez range that he's looking for? Do they have that?
No,
absolutely
not.
I can see them spending money, but not that kind of money for that long of a term.
You want to say it looks good. It does look good to add somebody like DJ LeMahieu for just about any other team, not the Los Angeles Dodgers. The Dodgers have Cody Hosey not too far away from seeing what we could get out of him at third base. You have other guys that can play some hopefully quality third base, given time to prepare, and maybe Max Muncy and Eddie Rios. You have some options there, and being a club that wants so much to build from within, and being a club that has to give money to Corey Seager and to Cody Bellinger and to Walker Buehler, Clayton Kershaw's coming up on being a free agent again. They're going to want to keep these guys around, and if you go and get somebody like LeMahieu, where our boy Brian Robitaille on Twitter had put together the numbers, and By weighted runs created plus, and we're looking at the numbers. And I'm sorry, Eric, we're getting into analytics a little bit here for you, but if you look at the numbers, Justin Turner has been just a far more elite an elite batter over DJ LeMahieu over the last 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. It stretches, and he wants to be here. Dodgers fans want him to be here. He fills that maybe 2-year need at third base, and he could kind of move around like we've talked about before, getting him some time at first base. By then the DH should definitely be in play. So I don't know how much I'm buying the LeMahieu rumors this week.
I'm at a place where if JT does move on, then sure, I'm okay with it. But also at a place where if JT moves on and they don't sign LeMahieu either, I'm also like, that's also good. I'm okay with that also. There's a lot of options. There's a lot of different moving parts around the Dodgers infield. There's a lot of potential coming up through the farm system that either you need to make room for or get rid of or trade away at while their value's still high. Still a lot of decisions to be made on that, obviously. You just know Andrew Friedman's cooking something up behind the scenes because he's always cooking up something wild and crazy that you're never going to think about. He's always out of the box. I can never predict what the hell that guy's going to do at any point. And that's why I kind of like him as a GM, because if any GM thinks like me, there's no reason they should have a job, because obviously I don't have that job and I'm not good at that. So that's my logic behind that. But he very well could swoop in at the last minute, swoop him up from the Yankees. I don't think that the Dodgers are in a place where they feel like they need to overpay for anybody. And honestly, that's an advantage. You can let other teams overpay. You can let other teams work harder, not smarter. You can let other teams put themselves in a place where they're going to pay way too much for somebody who's not going to do that well for you for very long. For me, if you told me that the Dodgers signed Hendriks to a $54 million deal for just 3 years guaranteed, I would have a very hard time swallowing that. And I would be very upset about that. So obviously, work smarter, not harder.